They once walked red carpets and lived the Hollywood dream. But today, their lives look nothing like the fame they once knew. In Hollywood, success can fade quickly, and the fall from stardom is often shockingly harsh. Addiction, mental health struggles, and financial collapse pushed some celebrities from the top of the industry to simply trying to survive on the streets. In this video, we look at how these once well-known stars went from having everything to losing it all. Their stories in 2025 show just how drastic the change has been, and leave fans wondering, how does someone so famous end up with nothing? Stay with us as we follow their heartbreaking journey from the spotlight to homelessness. Number 1. Erin Moran. Erin Moran became a familiar face at just 14 when she charmed audiences as Joni Cunningham on Happy Days. But her life took a heartbreaking turn in the years that followed. After mismanaging her earnings, she found herself broke and without a stable place to live. In 2010, her California home was foreclosed, forcing her and her husband to move into his elderly mother's trailer in Indiana. Tensions eventually led to her being asked to leave, and she drifted from motel to motel, often seen in poor condition. Tragically, Erin Moran died penniless and homeless, the result of a heroin overdose, a devastating end for someone who had once been one of television's brightest young stars. Number 2. Margot Kidder. Margot Kidder, beloved for her iconic role as Lois Lane in the Christopher Reeve Superman films, was once one of Hollywood's brightest stars. Her fame even extended into her personal life, with high-profile relationships that included Richard Pryor and Canadian Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau. That's why the public was shocked years later when she was found wandering the streets of Los Angeles. Kidder had been battling schizophrenia and severe depression, and her struggles left her sleeping in cardboard boxes and in the backyards of strangers. People who saw her described her as disheveled, missing front teeth, and with her hair unevenly chopped. Following a manic episode in 1996, she was discovered living behind bushes in Glendale, California. Some strangers offered her small kindnesses, a cigarette, a night in a motel, but she was clearly in crisis. Eventually, Kidder was admitted to a private psychiatric clinic where she began receiving treatment. In time, she turned her painful experiences into advocacy, speaking openly about mental illness and homelessness. She once said, "We are all a breath away from mental illness, homelessness, all these things we tend to look down on." A reminder of how fragile even the brightest lives can be. Number 3. Lonnie Willison. Lonnie Willison was once a thriving fitness model, frequently appearing in magazines and even marrying Baywatch actor Jeremy Jackson. But her life took a devastating turn as meth addiction and worsening mental health struggles pushed her into homelessness on the streets of Venice Beach. She accused her ex-husband of abuse and developed a belief that she couldn't live indoors, convinced she was being electrocuted daily and could pick up electricity, chemicals, and metals from her surroundings. Whether these claims stemmed from delusion or were shaped by addiction, they underscored the heartbreaking collapse of someone who once seemed to have everything. Number 4. Dana Plato. Dana Plato, another well-known child star, faced a deeply troubled life after her early success. Best remembered for her role on Different Strokes, she struggled to find stability once the show ended. Her teenage years were already marked by drug use, and her adulthood spiraled into addiction, legal trouble, and periods of homelessness. She became involved in scandals ranging from forging prescriptions to robbing a video store, which led to jail time and multiple stints in rehab. By 1999, Plato was living in motels across Oklahoma, insisting she had finally gotten sober. But just weeks later, she died from an overdose that was ruled a suicide. Only a day before her death, she appeared on The Howard Stern Show, openly acknowledging her longtime struggles as callers harshly criticized her, a moment many believe contributed to her final breaking point. Number 5. MC Hammer. MC Hammer's downfall remains one of the most surprising in music history. After winning 3 Grammy Awards and dominating 90s hip-hop, he went from global superstar to facing homelessness. At the height of his success, he lived extravagantly, owning a 40,000-square-foot mansion, spending $30 million on renovations, collecting 17 cars, 2 helicopters, a private jet, and racehorses, and employing over 200 people. But when music trends shifted and his popularity declined, his income dropped sharply. Still, he tried to maintain his lavish lifestyle, forcing him to sell nearly everything. Eventually, he found himself $3 million in debt, including more than $800,000 owed in taxes. Despite the collapse, Hammer managed to rebuild his life. He downsized, returned to performing, and learned to manage his money more carefully. Through discipline and reinvention, he slowly worked his way back to stability. Number 6. Leif Garrett. Leif Garrett, once one of the biggest teen idols of his generation, saw his life unravel as drug addiction and homelessness took hold. He started using drugs at just 14, and shortly before his 18th birthday, he crashed his mother's Porsche while driving to buy cocaine. His blood alcohol level was 3 times the legal limit, and the accident left his friend paralyzed. A tragic moment that became one of many consequences of his escalating substance abuse. By 2001, Garrett had filed for personal bankruptcy, owning little more than his clothes, a few household items, and just $350 in cash. His only steady income was a $1,000 monthly allowance from his mother, and he had no home of his own. The former heartthrob spent periods in jail for drug possession and moved in and out of rehab centers. His homelessness became widely known after Sharon Osbourne publicly said, "Leif G is living under a bridge, and he's saving a place for you, Justin Bieber." Number 7. Jan Michael Vincent. Jan Michael Vincent went from being a Hollywood heartthrob to living in homelessness, undone by addiction, violence, and a string of terrible choices. Best known for his role in Airwolf, his good looks and charm once made him a major star, but his career quickly unraveled as alcoholism and drug use took over. Between the late 1970s and mid-1980s, he faced multiple arrests for cocaine possession, bar fights, assault, and drunk driving. A series of serious car accidents, many tied to his drinking, left him with severe injuries, and he eventually lost his right leg, relying on a prosthetic or wheelchair. As his health and finances collapsed, so did his stability. He spent his final years living quietly in rural Mississippi and North Carolina, passing away at 74. Number 8. Mindy McCready. Mindy McCready, once a rising star in country music, watched her life unravel under the weight of addiction and personal heartbreak. Despite early success, she struggled for years with substance abuse, mental health issues, and a series of painful setbacks. A mother of 2, she spent time in court-ordered rehab while trying to regain stability. Her downward spiral accelerated when her boyfriend was found dead from a gunshot wound. Just a month later, McCready died in the same place from a self-inflicted gunshot. Investigators later discovered she had also shot her dog before taking her own life. Friends said the final blow came when she learned her children would be placed with her estranged mother. Throughout her life, McCready battled addiction, mental illness, and deep emotional wounds. Struggles that ultimately led to her tragic end at just 37 years old. Number 9. Sugar Ray Williams. Sugar Ray Williams proved that homelessness isn't limited to actors or musicians. Even celebrated athletes can face a devastating fall. Once a standout in the NBA, he spent years as captain of the New York Knicks and later played on the Boston Celtics' 1985 Finals team. But by 2010, the former star was found sleeping in his Buick in Pompano Beach, Florida. Williams openly criticized the NBA for neglecting retired players, saying, "When I played, they talked about loyalty to the team. So where's the loyalty and compassion for ex-players who are hurting?" We opened the door for these guys whose salaries are now through the roof. After leaving the league, he filed for bankruptcy and struggled to maintain steady employment. He wasn't battling addiction or gambling, just a streak of bad luck and little support. Sadly, Sugar Ray Williams passed away in 2013 from colon cancer, closing the chapter on a life marked by both achievement and hardship. Number 10. David Cassidy. David Cassidy, once the beloved teen idol from the Partridge Family, eventually found himself battling addiction and periods of homelessness. His personal life unraveled over the years, marked by multiple marriages, strained relationships with his children, and a long struggle with alcohol. His issues became undeniable after a series of DUI arrests in 2010, 2013, and 2014, prompting him to publicly admit he was an alcoholic. After his early fame faded, Cassidy faced mounting financial and legal troubles, including arrests for purchasing narcotics and soliciting prostitutes. By the end of his career, and in the years that followed, he endured bouts of homelessness as his life grew increasingly unstable. Number 11. Natasha Lyonne. Natasha Lyonne was a breakout star of the 90s, known for memorable roles in But I'm a Cheerleader, Slums of Beverly Hills, and American Pie. But her rising career derailed as she became entangled in legal trouble and addiction. After being evicted from her apartment, she experienced periods of homelessness. In 2001, she was arrested for a DUI, and by 2005 she was in Beth Israel Hospital battling methadone addiction, a heart infection, hepatitis C, and a collapsed lung. Despite hitting rock bottom, Lyonne staged an impressive comeback. She earned renewed acclaim as part of Netflix's Orange is the New Black, then co-created and produced Russian Doll, drawing on her own turbulent past. She later starred in Poker Face, proving she hadn't just recovered. She had rebuilt her career stronger than ever. Number 12. Brett Butler. Brett Butler, a Golden Globe-nominated actress once at the top of her career, saw her life spiral due to addiction. Best known for starring in Grace Under Fire, she struggled with substance abuse throughout the show's run and spent significant time in rehab. After getting sober, she moved to a farm in Georgia with her 15 pets, hoping for a fresh start. But her savings eventually ran out, and she found herself living in a homeless shelter. In time, Butler began working toward a comeback, performing at comedy clubs in Los Angeles, and even expressing interest in developing a reality TV show centered on her self-described psychic abilities. Number 13. Amanda Peterson. Amanda Peterson shot to fame as Cindy Mancini in the 1987 hit Can't Buy Me Love, starring alongside Patrick Dempsey. Her charming performance made her a beloved teen idol of the era. But away from the spotlight, she struggled with growing issues involving substance abuse and mental health. As her career declined, she retreated from Hollywood and lived a quieter, more private life. Tragically, on July 3, 2015, just days before her 44th birthday, Peterson died from an accidental drug overdose, marking a heartbreaking end to a career that once held so much promise. Number 14. Rocky Lockridge. Rocky Lockridge, once a celebrated junior lightweight boxing champion, saw his life fall apart after retiring in 1992. Addiction cost him his marriage, his relationship with his children, and all of his savings. In 1997, he was sentenced to 27 months in prison for burglary, and after his release, he spent nearly 10 years homeless on the streets of New Jersey. During this time, he suffered a stroke that left one side of his body weakened. Although he had earned millions during his career, Lockridge lost everything to substance abuse, declining health, and the physical toll of years spent in the ring. His struggles later became widely known through reality TV programs that documented his battle to survive and rebuild his life. Number 15. Willie Ames. Willie Ames, best known for 8 is Enough and Charles in Charge, experienced a harsh fall from success that left him homeless. After severe financial collapse, he lost his job, his savings, his wife, and custody of his child. With nowhere to go, Ames slept in parking garages, under bushes, and in public parks. At one time, he earned over $1 million a year, yet later found himself surviving on the streets. He later recalled lying beneath the bushes and wondering, "Is this really how my life turned out?" In time, Ames rebuilt his life. He passed the exams to become a financial advisor and eventually returned to acting and filmmaking, dividing his time between Vancouver and Los Angeles. Number 16. Houston McTeer. Houston McTeer proved that even Olympic-level talent isn't immune to hard times. Once called the fastest human in the world, he tied the 100-yard dash record in high school with a remarkable 9.0 seconds. His speed carried him from poverty in Florida to Los Angeles, where he trained under Muhammad Ali and Harold Smith, landed on the cover of Sports Illustrated in 1978, and qualified for the 1980 U.S. Olympic team. But when the United States boycotted the Olympics, his rising career suddenly stalled. In the years that followed, McTeer fell into drug use, lost his financial support system, and eventually became homeless, spending 3 years in the 1980s sleeping on Santa Monica Beach. He survived with help from the Clare Foundation, a local mission for the homeless. In time, he rebuilt his life and later married Linda Haglund, a former Swedish sprinter. Number 17. Danny Bonaduce. Danny Bonaduce, who rose to fame as a child star on The Partridge Family, battled addiction from an early age and eventually found himself homeless as an adult. His struggles with drug abuse, alcoholism, and serious health problems, including a diagnosis of hydrocephalus, derailed his life. At one point, he lived in his car behind Grauman's Chinese Theater in Hollywood, greeting fans and signing autographs even though he had nowhere else to stay. Bonaduce later described the surreal feeling of being recognized by admirers while secretly living out of a vehicle. Over time, he managed to rebuild his life, becoming a popular drive-time DJ on WWSY and eventually remarrying. He later retired from radio in Seattle due to medical complications that required brain surgery, closing another turbulent chapter of his life. Number 18. Iran the Blade Barkley. Iran the Blade Barkley, once a celebrated boxing champion worth $5 million, lost everything and eventually became homeless. In 2010, the New York Post revealed that the former title holder had been sleeping in subway cars and at the Howard Johnson Express. During the 1980s and 90s, Barkley earned millions in the ring, but reckless spending and poor financial decisions drained his fortune. He drifted between motels and the streets before staying for a time with his niece in the Patterson Houses, a public housing complex in the Bronx. When she could no longer support him, Barkley returned to sleeping on subway trains before landing in a Howard Johnson motel. Eventually, he found help through the nonprofit Bronx Works and the Ring 10 boxing charity. With their support, he secured stable housing and rebuilt his life by teaching boxing to young amateurs, finding purpose again after losing everything. These stories are stark reminders that fame offers no guarantees, and even those who once seemed untouchable can face unimaginable hardships. From red carpets to living on the streets, each journey shows how quickly life can change, and how important compassion truly is. Which story shocked you the most, and why do you think so many stars struggle after the spotlight fades? Share your thoughts in the comments below. See you next time.